So it's a great day, it's a wonderful night, and we are going to really put the spotlight on some well-deserving folks who have a long-standing history here at Case Western Reserve University. And it's actually Legacy Week here at Case, so what a better day to honor the legacy of tonight's Hall of Fame inductees than to do it on the Saturday that finishes Legacy Week. The first to speak tonight will be our president at Case Western Reserve University, President Kaler. President Kaler and I got a chance to speak together in the winter when it was a colder day on the floor of the gymnasium at Horsburgh Gym when the men's basketball team made the Sweet 16. So it's my pleasure to bring up President Kaler for tonight's welcome and opening remarks. Please join us in welcoming President Kaler.
Thank you, Ron, and what a nice memory to think about that Sweet 16 basketball game. I know some of you were there for sure, and it was a exciting evening. I'm really glad to welcome you to the 2022 Spartan Club Hall of Fame Induction Banquet, because tonight we honor our outstanding alumni athletes and coaches for their achievements, and we recognize current student athletes for their recent successes. An example of which is our women's softball team winning the UAA Conference Championship this afternoon with a doubleheader win over Tangen, which just feels good. The men up the road beat WashU twice in a doubleheader in baseball, which also was a good thing. Our tennis team is #1 in the nation and doing great. They stubbed their toe against Chicago, but they'll be back and I think leading us to NCAA victory again. So it turns out, I didn't know this, Case Western Reserve is quite the little athletic powerhouse. It's great. I really appreciate the Spartan Club for bringing everyone together for this celebration each year and its continued support of our athletes, both past and present. And thank you to the Spartan Club President, Inca for her leadership. She earned her bachelor's and master's degree from the Weatherhead School of Management in 2010. And while she was a student here, she was a two-sport athlete, playing basketball in the winter and softball in the spring. You were busy. Like Angel, so many of our students find that tending to their physical health improves their mental health and their overall wellness, whether it's through varsity athletics, club or intramural sports, physical education courses, or just recreational activities. And once more, we all know that our varsity athletes shared experience through challenging practices and emotional wins, and sometimes losses, provides a foundation for positive relationships with teammates and coaches, many of those relationships which last a lifetime. And perhaps now more than ever, we understand just how profoundly these experiences can impact our students' time while they're here, and as many of you know, after they leave. Case Western Reserve University has a great deal of gratitude for all of our Spartan varsity athletes who represent the university on the national stage. Importantly, you enrich our campus community as students and you inject us with a very healthy dose of Spartan pride. Congratulations to all of this year's Spartan Hall of Fame inductees and to the recipients of this year's University Award for Athletic Excellence. I really hope you enjoy this evening together, and I'm pleased to turn the podium back over to Ron. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kaler. You were out at a game today, correct? 2 games. And our next speaker was all over the place this afternoon, as he is every day here in the athletic department at Case Western Reserve. Our brand new athletic director, TJ Shelton's been on the job since January, right? Since the start of the new year. He was at the baseball doubleheader at the Knob today, and he changed out of clothes. You didn't wear the tie to the baseball game, did you? Did not. So he's ready to fill us in on the state of athletics. Our athletic director, TJ Shelton.
Exciting to be here on behalf of our athletic department. coaches, our student athletes. I'd like to welcome inductees, their families, and their friends. Tonight really is a celebration of excellence. When you think of excellence, it's excellence in performance, and it's excellence in service. As an AD, there's kind of two events that you really kind of, cherish during the career. It's the team banquet, where the seniors get up and talk about their experiences, their, teammates, their inspiration, all the adversity they overcame during that time. And then the second one is the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame banquet is about fond memories, lessons learned, and also lifelong relationships, where you sit back, and tonight we're going to have the opportunity to hear from our inductees about all the special things that took place in their career, that, why they're here tonight. As a new AD, I'm honored. I get to witness firsthand. As Ron mentioned, I started in January, and the event moved from the fall to the spring. And so I'm honored to have the opportunity to witness this, along with all of our family and friends to be there. So once again, welcome and congratulations. I'd like to take this time as well to introduce some of our staff. You guys please stand in the corner. Missy Ackerman is here, our Associate AD. Casey Conte, who handled the logistics. Cam Farrell, our SWA. Who else do we have there? John Schwartz, who also our SID and voice of baseball today. His assistant, Eddie Kirkska, who handled softball today. George, where's Joel? Did he step out? And Pat Kennedy. Well, those guys played a key role in this event, so please give them a round of hand to make sure. As it was mentioned, I'd like to introduce VP Lou Stark, who's at our game today, as well as President Kaler and his wife. I appreciate them joining us. And so, if you talk about support, and one reason why folks ask me, why do I leave Ohio State and come to Case Western Reserve, I think when you look at leadership that you have, and they've been in multiple games and really supporting our student athletes and staff, it's really important and exciting about that. President Kaler stole my thunder. I was going to go up here and say, hey, it's my first conference championship, but I'll still mention that anyway. But we're really excited. Our student athletes are working hard and playing hard. And, I think academically, you're really proud of them as well, their service to the community. And that's really important for our student athletes, is they're great ambassadors for you. And so tonight, I think you see the culmination of that, once again, through our excellence and our service from our Hall of Fame inductees. So I have the pleasure now of introducing Angel Rice to come up to the stage and make some comments for the Spartan Club.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Hall of Fame Banquet of 2022. As an ex-athlete here, I should say, I know some of my fondest memories are definitely competing, going to practice, games. I felt like always hanging out with my teammates 24/7. Really some of my best memories here at Case. And I'm sure some of you in the room could say the same. For those that may not know about the Spartan Club, we're really a group of various stakeholders that have a vested interest in supporting our current student athletes in a variety of different ways. As with a lot of things, it's generally good practice every so often to take a closer look at how we're going about things and making sure we're still accomplishing what we set out to do, and is there anything we could really tweak along the way to make sure we're still accomplishing that mission. So to this effect, we're really excited about a survey that we've put together, because what we found is, as our athletic department and teams and student athletes have grown, so have our stakeholders. And so we want to know, how do you want to hear from us? Whether it's social media, whether it's, email, how often do you want to hear from us? What types of information are you really looking to get from the Spartan Club? And so this survey that we put together is really going to serve as a foundation for how we reinvigorate the club moving forward. And so if you've not received the survey yet, or if you don't in the next few weeks, please reach out to whether it's myself or somebody in the athletic department, because your input's really going to be valuable as we look to reshape the club moving forward. And Eli Grant, the vice president of the Spartan Club, is here tonight. I do want to publicly and personally thank you for all of your efforts, because he's really been invaluable. His background, my background is accounting, so creativity is not necessarily my strong suit, but that's definitely Eli's, and he's played an invaluable role in putting this together. And so I do want to say thank you very much for your help with that. And I also wanted to say thank you. Doug Leary's in the room. I don't know which table he's at, but he leads our Hall of Fame selection committee. And I also want to thank the other Hall of Fame committee members as well for all. There really is a tremendous amount of care and time that's put into the process of looking at all of our storied history of what athletes deserve this honor. And just like with prior years, the slate that we have going in tonight is certainly very, very deserving. Their accomplishments are way more than I ever accomplished in my career, and so with that, I want to bring Ron Jans back up here so we can get the ceremony started. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Angel. We are here tonight to honor 7 individuals and 1 legacy of a cross-country program that started in the 1960s. And many of the names and faces that you see to my right and behind you or to your left are maybe teammates of yours, maybe a friend of yours, maybe a sibling, a son or a daughter. So obviously everyone that's here tonight is very proud of the 7 individuals that will be honored and then the legacy of a cross-country program that started in the 1960s. And it's our duty and our honor tonight to put the spotlight on all of them. We're going to start with a man who is not with us tonight, Hugh Marshall. Hugh passed away from cancer at the age of 65 in 2018. But when you mention the name Hugh, or if you were to do Hugh's voice, it's very light like this. Everybody in the room would know who he is. Hugh Marshall spent 30 plus years in the athletic department at Case Western Reserve University. His main job, he was the equipment manager. He handled the uniforms, he handled the chin straps, he handled the shoulder pads, he handled every knee pad, elbow pad, anything, mouthpiece that anybody would ever need. He did it for many sports. But if you ask Hugh, if you put him under the white hot spotlight, if you asked him what his favorite sport was to do, it was football. He worked 306 consecutive football games in his 30 plus years at Case Western Reserve University. Think about that for a second. And if you talk to the football coaches, they'll tell you that Hugh kept everything. There was a very old locker room here. History at Case, the Cleveland Browns actually used the football field once upon a time 1,000,000 years ago to practice. And that locker room became the Case Western Reserve University football locker room, and that's where Hugh started. Well, Hugh saved every cleat, every used football cleat over the years, and he had them in plastic bags, and he had them on top of the lockers. He saved every t-shirt that was worn, and if a football player needed not a full t-shirt or a half t-shirt, but a 3/4 length t-shirt, Hugh had it. Some would say that he was a pack rat. They were probably right. He could be on that TV show today where, pack rats are world famous. But football was what he really enjoyed. And he saw a lot of struggles in football. And then when the football team got really good, if you talk to Coach Debs, he'll tell you that Hugh was so proud. And just one quick story on Hugh before we bring the presenter up to accept his award tonight to tell you how proud he was. In the history of Case football, they had never beaten Washington University. The rivalry or the program, the matchup started in 1991. In 2007, the Case Western Reserve University football team was 8-0 going into the WashU week. WashU was 7-1. Spartans had never won. They were 0-16 against WashU. Coach Debs said to his assistant coaches on Saturday morning, he said, the guys are ready. He said, I don't want any of us, me or any of you, to go in the locker room before the game and give a pep talk. He said they're ready. They're focused. They know what they need to do. They know they need to beat WashU. Nobody's going to remind them of it, okay? So the coaches stayed away. About 15 minutes before they're ready to go out onto the football field, somebody comes to the coach's office and says, Coach Debs, somebody's in the locker room right now talking to the team. There's a roar, there's clapping, there's yelling, there's shouting, the walls are banging. Coach Debs gets up, he goes down to the hallway towards the locker room, and at that point the doors open, the team comes running out, they're pumped up and ready, and guess who was giving a pep talk? It was Hugh. Team went out and beat WashU that time for the first time in the history of football at Case Western Reserve University. Now, if you ask Coach Debs, they beat them because they're a better team. But if you ask anybody in that locker room, they beat them because they were going to win one for Hugh. Ladies and gentlemen, we start tonight with our Hall of Fame Class of 22 by honoring Hugh Marshall for his 30-plus years of service at Case Western Reserve. Jim Petrus was scheduled to accept Hugh's award. In the mix of folks coming in and out, we're not sure if Jim's here. Jim, are you here? He's not. So Pat Kennedy, who has known Hugh for a very, very long time, is going to come up, Pat from the athletic department, to accept Hugh's award. And Pat also has a written letter from the family that they would like everybody to hear tonight. So please welcome to the stage Pat Kennedy.
Good evening. It is my honor to accept on Hugh's behalf. We do have a letter from his cousin, Jim Petrus, that I can't read on the cell phone because I didn't bring the appropriate glasses. But John has graciously going to read that letter, and then I'll say a few words and we'll continue with the program. John?
Hi, I'm Pat's young eyes, and hopefully we'll be able to read this. This is my first time reading it, so if there's anything embarrassing in here, don't hold it against me. But Hugh Marshall's nomination to the CWRU Spartan Hall of Fame is slightly unusual, and we expect very unique, in that Hugh was never a star team player, a winning coach, an esteemed athletic director, administrator with CWRU Sports. Hugh was the CWRU Athletic Department equipment manager, an eclectic combination of sport participant, heady coach, and every athlete's best peer friend, enclosed in a single, thin, non-athletic body. Hugh's abject love of all scholastic team athletics was unquenchable, and after being a student sports equipment manager in high school, Hugh went on to earn a BA in Business Administration from Kent State University and was a very good student and a hard worker. Although successful in his early business career, Hugh gravitated back to coaching high school athletics and participating as a high school basketball scoreboard official and rules referee. In time, it was clear that Hugh's career happiness would revolve around participating in the growth of scholastic athletes and their pursuit of winning character developed through competitive team sports. Not having active athletic participation experience, Hugh went back to sports through becoming the athletic department equipment manager at CWRU. This was the work atmosphere that Hugh loved and thrived being around. Although Hugh could have made more money doing almost anything else, Hugh became a visible staff fixture for most team athletic sports at Case Western Reserve for the next 30 years. Unlike someone who performed this job to make a living, Hugh lived the job to be part of CWRU scholastic athletics. His understanding of team sports strategy and tactics was exceptional, forming constant side conversations with 3 generations of CWRU student athletes. Many found this athletic department staff worker to be much more like another coach. Over the years, Hugh touched and influenced thousands of CWRU athletes who discovered his unique sports acumen, coaching talents, and his effective enthusiasm for team sports, while getting extra socks from the CWRU equipment staff manager. After 4 years, those CWRU athletes who knew Hugh held him in very high esteem, as he truly wanted all of them to fully maximize their sports success, as he would have loved for himself. In addition to his support of student athletes, Hugh became close friends with the Phi Gamma Delta and Phi Mu fraternities. Among other things, he planted and watered flowers at their houses, bought t-shirts for their entire chapters, and regularly hosted his much-loved Hugh cookouts. While Hugh was taken from us far too early, Hugh died in 2018 at the age of 65 from pancreatic cancer. The surprise to his family was the outpouring of sincere concern and true affection that hundreds of CWRU alumni showered onto Hugh while he was in the hospice. CWRU is a school that turns out doctors, lawyers, engineers, and literally hundreds of those DLE alumni made contact with Hugh prior to his death. If the true measure of a person is how they are loved and appreciated, Hugh made an enormous impact on CWRU athletes, and over 30 years, that was a real and positive impact for the university as a whole. In fact, Hugh Marshall is the epitome of what it means to be a Spartan. Hugh's family is so honored and gratified that the personal contributions of so meek and unassuming a person were recognized by the Spartan sports family, the CWRU administration. Sometimes nice guys do finish first. Thank you so much for this honor of Hugh's life work and the legacy of his career contributions through membership to the CWRU Spartan Hall of Fame. We are humbled in this honor for Hugh. Sincerely, David Marshall and family, Craig Marshall and family, and the William Marshall family.
Respectfully, I had the opportunity and the privilege to work with Hugh and our next and future Hall of Famer, Otto Penica. I can't express the words, the uniqueness and the love that both of these gentlemen put forward towards our student athletes as well as our students. Again, it was a privilege to be a part and work with them as co-workers. They did outstanding jobs when they were here. And on behalf of the Marshall family, I'd like to again thank you for the recognition of the Spartan Club on Hugh's commitment, and also I want to put that plug in for Otto's commitment to Spartans for Life.
A secret that Dave, Hugh's brother, told me about an hour ago on the phone from Kentucky. They're going to take that plaque, and instead of putting it in a box in somebody's house with the family, they're going to give it to the Fiji house here on campus. And the guys are going to put it on the wall at the Fiji house, because Hugh was big with the Fijis on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. So he will live forever at the Fiji house. Otto Penica is our next honoree. Where's Otto? There he is. A few things in life I think we can all count on. We can count on the sun setting, we can count on the sun rising. We can count on the cherry blossom around Wade Ovals blooming in the spring at the Art Museum. We can go down the street east of campus and see Daffodil Hill. We can count on all of those things. We can also count on Otto Penica. I like to call him Automatic, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that calls him Automatic. For over 30 years, 34 to be exact, Otto said, well, you can't count the COVID year, Ron, because we didn't have athletics. I said, well, you were still part of the Spartan family, so we're going to count it. For 34 years, Otto Penica has been a part of the Case Western Reserve University athletic family. He's from Newberry, Ohio. He got a degree in education from Ashland. And 34 years ago, he started working here at Case. Otto has done everything. He has swept the floors. He has washed towels. He has handed out towels to athletes. He has handed out towels to students in the recreation division. He's managed student workers. He's set up gyms. He's set up fields. He's set up courts. A typical day for Otto over his career was setting up the gym or the football field, then doing the public address announcing at the game, and then after the game with his student workers, taking the gym or the field and putting it back in its rightful place, ready for the next day. He is a facility guy, a legacy guy. His favorite thing to do was be the public address announcer for many sports here on the campus of Case Western Reserve. He was volleyball, wrestling, track and field, football, and soccer. His greatest joy was being the voice of the Spartans. In retirement, you'll find him as the official scorer for many of those sports. As a matter of fact, TJ Shelton, the athletic director, told me minutes ago that they didn't even give Otto the day off today. On his Hall of Fame day, he was scoring or public address announcing at the softball game as the women clinched the University Athletic Association Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the podium Automatic Otto Penica.
Thank you. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be standing in front of all of you. And I certainly would like to thank the Spartan Club for this great honor and congratulate my fellow inductees, and most of which I had the pleasure of getting to know and getting to watch compete. There are so many people that I had the good fortune to get to know in my 32 plus years at the university that I cannot name them all. Please know that even though I cannot name all of you, in this short amount of time, you'll always be a big part of my life, and I thank you. I would, however, like to thank a few people by name. First of all, my wife Sue and my sons Ryan and Devon, because I know without their love and support, I would not be standing here tonight. I would also like to thank a good friend who unfortunately passed away, a fellow inductee who I knew for a long, long time. Hugh Marshall is the one who told me to apply for the job with the athletic department after he was hired, and the rest, as they say, is history. I am forever indebted to him for his recommendations and support. He was indeed a true friend. Once again, thank you, and may God bless all of you. Thank you again.
That's Eddie Carricus presenting Hugh with his Hall of Fame plaque. And one other thing about the relationship between Hugh and Otto, he mentioned he's known him for a long time. He's actually known him since 1969. They met as opposing equipment managers for a high school football scrimmage in the summer of 1969. Otto was at Newberry and Hugh was at West Geauga. Pretty neat story. Greg Williams is next. Greg will be presented tonight by Annette Williams. Greg, cross country, track and field, the Case Institute of Technology, 1972. His father served in the Air Force, then later in the Navy, so the family moved around a lot, Greg told me. But in high school, they settled in a place in Pennsylvania called Mechanicsburg, and that's where Greg went to high school. In the fall of 1967, before his senior year in high school, Greg was looking for an engineering school. He liked Case Institute's programs, he liked the very nice campus, and he also liked the partnership that they had with Western Reserve University. Now, his high school counselor at that high school in Mechanicsburg told him that he should go to Carnegie Tech. As a matter of fact, he was accepted at Carnegie Tech. It would become Carnegie Mellon. And if you're a Case person, you know there's a boo there in the audience. You know that that's the big rival. Well, Greg decided to go against the best wishes of his high school guidance counselor, and he told that person, I'm going to go to Case Institute of Technology. Now, Greg told me over the phone that guidance counselor was so dismayed that they never talked to you again, did they, Greg? Never talked to him again. I told him they must have had a little back money coming if they could push kids to the Carnegie Tech. So he comes to Case. In 1968 through 1972, they were cross-country champions every year at the President's Athletic Conference. In 1971, Greg was the PAC individual champion. He was second in 1969, he was third in 1970. He was an outstanding runner. His brother Keith will tell you that he's a humble man, and that he set the standard for the family, the Williams family, at the Case Institute of Technology. Keith played golf, Greg ran cross-country. Greg said Keith made the smarter choice. I don't know if that has to do with the wear and tear in the knees or the hips over the years. Maybe Greg will tell you. But tonight, we introduce to you the man who told me he liked cross-country a lot better than track because he didn't have to run around a circle again and again and again. Please join me in welcoming to the podium, Greg Williams.
What a nice turnout, and what a nice day for everybody to come and celebrate sports and sports success at Case. When I started at Case, it was Case, and then it was Western Reserve, and by the time I left, it was CWRU. For me, it's a tremendous, tremendous honor to be inducted into the Spartan Hall of Fame. Last fall, when I was notified by phone that you're going to be a nominee, that you're going to be selected, a whole flood of emotions went through me. I was excited, exhilarated, very appreciative, all the kinds of things that you really want to express when something is happening to you that you hadn't planned for. It's a little bit of surprise, but one of those, wow, is this cool. But I also felt humbled and I felt honored because I'm going into a group that's been acknowledged before for their athletic contributions, and they're superb Spartan athletes. Think about that, you're moving into a group of people that's already there. You know, in preparation for the induction, I did some reflection in terms of my running career here at Case, and why did I have success? And I don't think it's totally because you had a little bit of capability to run, or a lot of capability to endure the pain of the workouts or the practices, if you've ever done any cross-country running. I think there's a lot more to it. I think there's actually two major reasons I had success here. Number one, I was on a team with excellent teammates. We were inclusive with each other. We competed with each other. Fact of the matter is, we all lived in the same house virtually, so either you got along with your teammates or it was like a really, really long year. We respected each other. And one of the things I think helped us get better as athletes and as runners, we competed with each other. We competed with each other in practice. We competed with each other in events. And it wasn't a matter of you had to be the best every day. What you had to do is work to compete to be as capable as everybody else on your team. I think if you look at any winning organizations in business or in athletics or anywhere else, good, healthy, respectful, internal competition makes everybody better. And we had that. Second thing we had is we had terrific leadership. Bill Sudak was our coach. And Bill, not a runner, clearly not a runner if you knew him, but here's what Bill knew. He knew how to build a team. He knew how to get you emotionally ready. He knew how to get you physically ready. And he knew how to prepare you in every possible way for every meet, every condition you ran in, and who are you going to have to run against, so that by the time we started, we were confident in ourselves that we were going to compete well as a team, and that we were going to win the meet or win the conference championship that we were out to do. So I think those two things in combination with a little hard work and a little desire, the team composition and the leadership we got from Bill allowed all of us on that team to get better. Ron didn't mention this, and maybe somebody might have noticed as they looked at all the plaques over in the Veal Center, but several of the people that I had the privilege to run with are also in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think that's by accident either. I think it's by team composition, I think it's by virtue of their abilities, and I think it's by virtue of the leadership we got from Coach Sudak over the time that I was there. So last comment, participating in sports at Case was more than just good exercise for me and good competition. It was an opportunity to grow as an individual, to learn how to manage yourself, to learn how to do time management, how to recognize the value proposition between work ethic and the payoff at the end. It was a matter of understanding what it was going to take to provide leadership with a group that you're working with or people that you might meet when you left. All those skills that you learn through competitive athletics, you carry forward in life. You carry forward with your family, and you carry forward in your community. The things you learn to do, participating, as I was lucky to do, with a stellar team and a stellar coach and a stellar program. I had a great time running, and then wouldn't have missed it for the world. Thank you so very much. This was at the bottom of the notes, and it's the most important thing I wanted to say. I want to offer a very special thank you to Doug Leary and to my brother Keith, both of whom had a little more than something to do with the nomination process and the selection process. And I ran with one of them, and one of them I live with as a family member. Thank you so much to you two.
Greg's wife Annette presenting him with his Hall of Fame plaque. Greg is 72 years old. I asked him if he still runs every day. We got a lot of cross-country folks in the audience tonight. He said he doesn't run every day. He still exercises every day, and he does a lot of walking. I hope I look like that when I'm 72 years old. Our next honoree tonight is a wrestler. Loving it. Drew Gardella. Drew will be presented tonight by Chris Nader. Drew graduated from Case Western Reserve University in 2009. His sport was wrestling. He grew up in Sagamore Hills, about 30-40 minutes from campus. He wrestled at Chanel High School in Bedford, St. Peter Chanel. And I asked him how he arrived at Case Western Reserve University, and he said, really, he said, after talking to Coach Del Rosa, he said, I just thought he was a good fit for me, and I thought Case was a good fit for me. And then I asked him what the genesis moment was in wrestling, because in wrestling, you either start early or you start late, and if you start late, you're not going to do very well. And he said, really, he said, there was no great science behind it. He said, my parents were tired of me and my little brother just beating the crap out of each other in the house all the time. He said, so in the 3rd grade, they put us in the wrestling program. And I asked Drew, I said, was it your younger brother or older brother? Younger brother. I said, who got the best? Quick answer, right, Drew? I always got the best of my younger brother. The follow-up question, do you still get the best of your younger brother? And is he in the audience tonight? No. Well, we were going to have a rematch right here on the stage, so I'm glad he's not here. Here's one thing to think about tonight. In Drew's 4 years as a Spartan wrestler, he averaged 32 wins per season. 32 wins per season for 4 straight years. He finished with 128 wins. That ranks him 3rd most for wins in program history. He's an All-American, a 2-time UAA champion, a UAA Rookie of the Year, a UAA Most Outstanding Wrestler, and tonight he's a Spartan Hall of Fame inductee. Please join me in welcoming Drew Gardella.
Good evening. I'll keep this short. I don't like talking that much on stage anyways. So I'd like to thank Case for this honor, and there's a couple people I'd really like to thank. Coach Del Rosa, who isn't with us anymore, but like I said, when I met Coach, it just kind of fit. You know, coming here, he's so relaxed, and like the one thing I remember, you know, just through my 4 years is like, there could be a hurricane going on, and Coach Del Rosa is like calm, cool, and collected. Like, I swear he had ins with the mob, because like, anything could go on, and he would just like, no, it's fine. You know, he might have freaked out later with Coach Nader or Russ, but not so much. And so, like, I really took that away, because like in my life, I always like envied that, like in the room, because I would be freaking out. There'd be finals, there'd be stuff going on, and I'd have to show up to practice, and I'm like, how am I going to get all this stuff done, you know, with Case academics? And Coach would just, he's like, it's fine. You know, you need something, Coach is like, I'll handle it. And it was just like, that was one of the most thing I remember about Coach Del Rosa. And then Coach Nader, he was always there for you. Like, you needed something, he was going. I remember my senior year, we used to take a trip to Florida over like from Christmas to New Year's. So we would end up spending New Year's in Florida, which was, you know, always a good time for a college student. But we would also wrestle at a duel. And so my senior year, I didn't really cut any weight, but I was over like a couple pounds and had to weigh in. And I was like frustrated, and you know, things just weren't going the way, you know, I wanted them to. And I was like, oh, I gotta go run. And Nader's like, you want me to go run with you? I was like, sure. And we went on the run. And I remember, like, when I became an All-American, like, the one thing Coach Nader said was, he's like, I knew you were going to be an All-American when you went for that run. And so, thank you, Nader. And then I wanted to thank my teammates. Russell Tischer is one of my teammates. He's in the audience. But, you know, they kept it fun for me. You know, with Case academics and everything, you know, none of us are wrestling because we were on scholarship. We were all there because we enjoyed the sport. We wanted to get out of our heads. We wanted to move, or we were just too stupid to not know when to quit, which is probably the majority of us. But But we would always get up to shenanigans, and we always kept it fun. And my fondest memory is we were going on a trip to Wisconsin, and we were flying. And so somehow one of us got the idea to go Goodwill shopping, and all of us dressed with the best stuff we could find from Goodwill. And I mean, it was really good. You know, some of us got like a full denim cowboy tuxedo. I had a very itchy 1970s yellow, the palest yellow turtleneck that you could find. It was amazing. You know, so we were looking our best, I just want to say. So we're leaving Cleveland, we get on Cleveland Airport, and like, we're like, I think that's Usher. Like, I think Usher is on our flight. So we land in Wisconsin, and at this point, we're like, we need to get a picture with him. So we finagled a way to get Usher to take a picture with his bodyguard, with our entire team dressed in Goodwill's best outfits. And so Usher, you know, he looks at all of us and goes, wow, you guys must be going someplace hot. And, you know, that was the fun we had. And the best part of that was in the photo, we all looked at the photo afterwards, and Coach Chris Nader has a gold chain in his mouth, and he's biting it. And we're like, why are you biting your gold chain with the photo and Usher? And he's like, well, I want, you know, it's real, gold's real. I wanted to show everyone we're real. And, you know, those were my fondest memories from wrestling with Cage, is the fun that we had, and, you know, that it just kept it light. So, thank you, everyone. Congratulations to all the inductees.
Coach Nader will join. You know, Drew's a chiropractor, right? Right, Drew? Yeah, so, you know, I mean, it just makes sense, right? Wrestler, bending people's bodies all over the place, you know, putting your neck in ways that it should never be. He has a lifelong list of people that are going to come see him. He just has to take care of all his former buddies, people he wrestled against, the people he wrestled with. You are smart. I mean, you laid it out. Become a chiropractor after being a wrestler. You'll never not have work. So, congratulations. Our next is a cross-country runner, Justine Jarosky-Weirs. Justine, cross-country track and field, Case Western Reserve University, graduate 2011. She's from Murraysville, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. We don't like to say that word that begins with a P here in Cleveland. But we'll say it tonight, Justine. We'll make the exception for you. Went to Franklin Regional High School. I asked her when did she start track. She said junior high. You know, 150 kids go out for track in junior high at every school, and Justine was one of them. She was a 4-time high school state qualifier in cross country, a 1-time high school state qualifier in track. She was looking for a good engineering program and looking for a good running school, and she found it here at Case Western Reserve University. While she was a Spartan runner, she was a 3-time All-American, a 3-time first-team University Athletic Association in cross-country. She was the 2009 UAA Most Outstanding Performer, not just runner, but performer, winning both the 3,000 and 5,000 meters in indoor track. She's the school record holder as a member of the distance medley team. Now, I asked her, how many miles did you used to run when you were in the Case Western Reserve University program? She said about 50 miles a week. She said that would vary with the runners. Some women would run more, some would run less. Men would run 80 to 90. And then I followed that up with, how many are you still running per week? She said not 40 to 50. But next weekend, she'll run in the Pittsburgh Half Marathon. She's running 2 marathons and 15 half marathons after graduating from college, correct? So that's saying something. So if you want to set goals, just look at Justine. After college graduation, she is still running competitively, and tonight, she's a Hall of Famer. Please welcome to the podium, Justine Jarosky-Weirs.
Thank you so much for coming, putting on this event. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. This is an incredible honor. I was so excited when I learned last summer that this event was happening in the fall and in the spring. I was overjoyed and excited about that. So I definitely, obviously a little bit about my experience. I was a runner in high school. Actually, Andrea, that's going to be presenting my award, we ran together in high school and then again in college. And that was one of the things I think that really made running fun for me and still does, is my teammates, like having all the fun and just kind of kept me going. It's my passion, it's something I enjoy doing. So yeah, when I could come to Case Western and get my good engineering degree and also run at the same time, it's like perfect. This is what I want to do. This is great. So to get along the way, I like worked hard myself, but I definitely didn't get there on my own. So some of the people I'd like to thank that really helped me get there. First off, I'd like to start with my family. And number one, my mom, who took me, I said I was gonna get emotional. Growing up, like, helped me I started as a swimmer and then a runner, and I think if she'd let me, I would have done about 10 other sports too. I just had a huge passion for being active and trying anything I could. But gradually I ended up into track and field and cross country and really found what I really liked doing and what I was good at. I'd also like to thank my sister and our fiancée Paige here that were always, like I said, growing up, she was someone that chased me or I was chasing her, so maybe some of my running came from, I said that sister, a rivalry. And then my husband here for supporting me said, as John mentioned that since school I still love running. I try to run multiple times a week and do races because it's just something that really just clears my head and makes me happy, and it's good for you too, so it's good to work out. Next, I would like to thank my coaches. Coach Denise couldn't make it here tonight. They're at conference UAAs in Wash U in St. Louis, so hopefully day 1 went well and day 2 tomorrow, so check the results tomorrow and see how it went. But yeah, Coach Denise, since my first contacted Case and wanted to come, came on my recruiting visit, she was there to meet me, I think with some type of exciting poster or story, and got me in and helped me figure out how to navigate the admission process and everything to get in. And then through the 4 years, countless practices and meets, always making sure not only me, but all of the other athletes on the team were put first and all our needs were met. And then even till I said nationals, I ran like 2 or 3 weeks after graduation my senior year. She was still there, like, okay, where do you want to go eat tonight? Like, just making sure that everything was good to go so I could run my best race and our teammates and our team could run our best races. So Coach Denise definitely, and then I would say some of my other coaches that I competed with, Coach Rubin, our assistant coach, was always a little wacky and sometimes took the path less traveled, but always kept it really interesting and kind of made you smile if you were nervous or feeling down. He could always kind of brighten your spirits. And then on the track side, Coach Rubin was our head coach, and I always remember Rubin's standard time, or RST, which was somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes before actual time. So I distinctly remember freshman year sitting on my bed at like 5:30 in the morning, completely ready, because I was like, I'm ready 30 minutes ahead of time. I don't want to miss the bus, because he's like, we'll leave without you. And so I appreciate all of them and all the hard work they did. I think it really hit home for me. This previous job, I worked at UTEP, the University of Texas El Paso, and I was in the director of officer track and field and cross country, and I saw a lot of the behind the scenes work, and I was like, wow, like, we're really like all the things that I'm sure happened that I didn't even realize that really made my practices and my meets and my experiences. That two of the staff members were recognized earlier tonight. Like, that really just made my time at Case. And then finally, I'd like to thank my teammates. There's a group of them over here. I said, going back at the beginning, like, that's my passion, to run and have fun doing it. And like, without them, like, being goofy, or I said, like, Case Western was hard. So like, a number of times we'd be staying up late in the sub-basement of the hostel, finishing a lab report so you'd get to meet the next day. Or we had worked hard all season running, or okay, it's the end of the season, let's have a party unwind. The cross-country house, I think, had enough couches to like have everyone have a seat and still have 10 people to sleep. Like, there's couches everywhere. It's definitely something I remember, still kind of partying and letting go after the stressfulness of the season. Or just, I said, mainly when we were running, being on, like, beside me on the start line, whether it was for a practice, whether it was for a meet, or was it for nationals, like trying to calm each other down and at the same time pump each other up to really try to do our best. So thank you guys so much and being here tonight to support me. That's been great. So with all that, yes, thanks for this honor and thanks for listening to me tonight. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm excited to see where in the future I plan to keep running. And so if you're ever out and about, I was out running Hudson Relays today, like feel free to like come by and go for a run together. I love to just catch up or race with anyone. So the invitation is open. I know a lot of you don't feel the same way, but thank you very much.
As she said, her high school teammate and her college teammate, Andrea Fischone, is presenting her with her award tonight. Now, table 2 right here is some of her former running mates, and I'm seated at table 2 tonight, but not really seated because I'm back and forth, but I hear things, and at one point tonight, I hear them talking in a group, how many miles did you run today, right? You were asking somebody how many miles they ran today, and I think you said 7. How many in the room has ran more than 7 miles today? Nobody. So you win that award tonight. That's runner humor. How many miles did you run today? 7. Oh, I only ran 8.5. Congratulations, Justine. Our next honoree tonight, a baseball player, and it was a great day to play baseball today. His name is Chad Mullins, Case graduate in 2011. Chad's from Fredericksburg, Ohio. I said, where's Fredericksburg? He said, it's in Amish country. Waynedale High School. No, Chad did not go to school in a horse and buggy. He got a bat and a ball in his hand as a 4-year-old, as typical young boys do. You'll read in the program tonight that his arrival at Case Western Reserve University spurred the start of the most successful stretch in school history for baseball. Well, it was not only Chad's arrival, but it was also the arrival of Matt Englander, the current head baseball coach at Case Western Reserve. Matt was starting his career. Chad was starting his career. The summer before his senior year at Waynedale High School, Chad played for Matt on a summer baseball team. And he got a real dose of reality that summer, he told me. He said, you know, I was a great player at my little local high school. He said, I was very good at small town baseball. He said, but when I played summer ball for Coach Englander, he said, I was introduced to baseball players that were much better than me. And to quote Chad, he said, I was terrible. Chad said that. He said, but Coach brought something out in me. He says, I was looking for a baseball school, and I was looking for an engineering school. And he says, as I eliminated schools on my list, he said, Case never got eliminated. They had baseball, they had engineering, and they had Coach Englander. A quick George Brett story. I'm a sports fan. George Brett won a batting title in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. The only player in Major League Baseball history to ever win a batting title in 3 straight decades. Walt Raniak, his longtime hitting coach, said George Brett could hit buckshot with barbed wire. Buckshot with barbed wire. And George Brett said, yeah, I probably could hit buckshot with barbed wire. Well, I stand here tonight, and I bet you Chad Mullins can hit buckshot with barbed wire if we asked him to. Why do I say that? 4-time UAA first team. UAA MVP in 2011. D3Baseball.com National Player of the Year in 2011. First team All-America in 2011. He hit .437 that year. His career batting average at Case Western Reserve University, .409. Nobody's been better. And tonight he's a Hall of Famer. Please welcome Chad Mullins.
As I sat over there and thought, the other inductees' stories, my story is one of a little kid who just fell in love with baseball and never really lost that love. My dad is the biggest reason that I got into baseball. Every night he had the Indians on TV, still probably does, or at least has them on the radio. Back then there was no shortage of excitement watching the Indians in the mid to late 90s. It seemed like every night Dad would pitch to me in the yard, we'd play catch, and then after I'd take a bath, we'd watch the Indians win another game. One of my earliest baseball memories is of me, probably 6 or 7 years old, studying Game Face magazine that was sold at the stadium. I memorized the names and numbers of the entire Indians roster, even the coaches. One night in games sitting in the upper deck, we saw some activity stirring in the bullpen, and as the expert on the roster, someone who would look through the binoculars would say, who's warming up in the bullpen? And this night, I looked up from my snack and said, that is not a pitcher, that's the bullpen coach. Manny Ramirez was my favorite player as a kid. and always try to emulate his batting stance in the yard. One time at a barbecue, I remember telling everyone there how good I was at baseball. 5 years old. And afterwards, my dad told me, if you're that good at baseball, you won't need to tell anyone that you're good. They will tell you how good you are. And those words stuck with me throughout my baseball career, led me to work harder to ensure that I was getting the praise and accolades that that little kid in me wanted. As I got older, my summers were spent playing organized baseball, playing baseball in the yard with my brother. My younger brother, not my little brother. We created and played countless different games, and our games always followed a similar pattern. We'd play for an inning or so, and a conflict would start, slowly bubble over until one of us quit. After a while, we'd get a snack, we'd watch a little TV, unwind a little, we'd go back out and start the whole process over again. We tried to reenact plays that we saw in Sports Center that morning, a diving catch or a walk-off home run, but you can be sure that there was a benches clearing brawl. We would reenact that too. Sometime in junior high or high school, I realized that I probably wasn't going to be a professional baseball player, but I still enjoyed the competition and still wanted to continue playing after high school. Like Ron said, I played for Coach Inger the summer before my senior year. He had just taken the job at Case, and I got to hear Coach's recruiting pitch on a 2.5-hour drive to Steubenville. This is before we'd ever played a game, before I knew anything about Coach, before Coach knew anything about me. So he was already recruiting me, never seen this terrible summer of baseball that I was going to put out there. I don't remember much about his pitch, and I don't remember anything really about that summer other than how bad I had played. But for some reason, Coach still recruited me. There was just something in me that told me that being around him was going to be good for me. My first semester at Case was really difficult. I was homesick, overwhelmed by life in the city. I told my mom numerous times that I wanted to quit and asked her to come pick me and my things up. Mom got me to stick it out. She made sure they had a ride home every weekend that I wanted it, and she sent care packages with fruit rolls and other snacks throughout the week. She also pointed out how excited my grandma and grandpa were for baseball season. I guess she knew that I couldn't let them down. I wouldn't have survived that first semester without Devon Dye, who was the perfect roommate for me. He was always willing to help distract me from the stress of balancing school baseball with video games, pocket tanks, and creating baseball lineups with former Indians players. Once baseball season began my freshman year, I started to become better friends with guys on the team, which really helped to ease my homesickness. I became friends with Corey Pecoraro during our pregame BP on spring break. I became friends with Steve Crilly, playing various video games in our dorm room. I became friends with Kevin Ailey, Kevin Carney, Steve Bills, and Tim Cohen on bus rides and hanging out by the pool at the Hampton Inn in Florida. Without these friendships, I wouldn't have stayed at Case long enough to be up here today. My first 2 seasons at Case were pretty good for me, but not necessarily for the team. Things really took off after my sophomore year, though. In my exit interview, Coach challenged me to get in better shape. It seems like all those fruit rolls had caught up with me. I didn't really see how losing some weight was going to make me a better baseball player, but Coach also promised me that the team would be better around me. So I held up my end of the bargain by cleaning up my diet, and Coach held up his part by bringing in some really talented freshmen. Matt Keene, Brett Osala, Jamie Orr, and Jarrett Gish made us better immediately and were the catalyst for the huge improvement we saw, going from 12 and 33 to 33 and 15 within 2 seasons. I wouldn't be receiving this honor without teammates that are first and foremost great people. They made workouts and practices fun, and there are a few that I'd like to single out. Corey Pecoraro led the way in making hard work and intensity a part of our team culture. Peck was not going to let us be outworked during the season or in the off season. And the improvement that we made over our 4 years at Case is a direct result of Peck's leadership. Peter Zach didn't get as much playing time as he wanted in his time at Case, but he took after Peck and brought intensity to practice every day. Knowing how badly Peter wanted to be in the lineup inspired me to match his effort every day. Jimmy Abed, Matt Richards, and Matt Keene made sure I had plenty of runners on base when I came to bat. My RBIs are a direct result of their hard work, hustle, and skill. Brett Osala, Sam Alexander, Corey Pecoraro, Bobby Marco, and Steve Bills made sure that I wasn't stranded on the bases very often. These guys made sure that there were no outs in our lineup. I want to finish up with some personal thank yous. Devon, I want to thank you for our friendship. I want to thank you for providing a stable, loving home environment for me at Case. Coach, I want to thank you for believing in me. I've made so many lifelong friends as a result of my experience playing baseball at Case, and that would not have happened without you. Most of all, I want to thank you for recruiting great guys who are good teammates and good friends. Coming to Case and playing baseball has made a great impact on my life. To my brother Corey, thanks for tolerating me. Thanks for always knocking me down a peg if I got too full of myself. And thank you for facing adversity head on and chasing your dreams. My stepdad Kurt, thanks for all those Fridays you spent driving to Cleveland to take me home for the weekend. Thanks for pushing me to be a better person and to put forth my best effort. Thanks for never caring how well I played. And most of all, thanks for finishing dental hygiene school and setting the precedent that in our family we complete our goals no matter what obstacles we may encounter. Grandma and Grandpa, thanks for all the days Corey and I spent at your house growing up. These are some of my happiest memories. And thanks for all the time you spent traveling to and from games. It was always reassuring to look up in the stands on a cold, cloudy day and get a thumbs up before the game. My wife just had a baby, 7 weeks old. Everyone says kids make more emotional. I put this off for months because of this. My dad, thanks for always offering support after a tough game. Thanks for never pressuring me to perform better. And thanks for never telling me what hard work and dedication are all about, but rather showing me through your actions. My mom, thanks for always getting me to and from practices and games. Thanks for providing a loving and supporting environment growing up. Thanks for showing me daily what courage, hard work, and sacrifice look like. 1 Corinthians says, love is patient, love is kind, and no one embodies those words better than my wife. Jill, thank you for your love and support. Our parents have set a high standard, and they have shown us that actions speak louder than words. As we start our family, we can look to their example of how to nurture and inspire our children to chase their dreams. You and I are just beginning our journey as parents, which you're the perfect woman to have by my side. Thank you.
College coach Matt Englander is presenting him with his plaque, and Matt got 2 wins today, right, Matt?
We did.
21 on the season, I think, if my addition is right. And while that's happening, Chad mentioned his grandparents. His grandmother's in the audience. Could you stand and everybody could cheer for you? Nothing like having a grandparent at your game, so that's pretty special. Our last individual inductee of the night, unfortunately, can't be with us tonight. And it truly is unfortunate, and he really wanted to be here, but Obi Nwana is our last inductee. And one of the reasons I say it's unfortunate, because Obi is one of those athletes that not many schools have. And what I mean by that is he was a national champion. In the history of Case Western Reserve University, there have been only 19 national champions, and Obi's one of them. You can ask any of the athletes, any of the coaches, any of the supporters of athletes in the room tonight how hard it is not only to win a game or to have a hit or make a shot or run a good time or hit a double-A takedown. It's hard to do all those things, but it's even harder to win everything, to win the national championship. And Obi has done that. He won the decathlon at the 2010 NCAA Division III National Championships. His coach, Steve Rubin, who I got a chance to talk to this week, had been coaching for 32 years, has been coaching for 32 years. And he said, bar none, Ron, my favorite athlete that I've ever coached all time is Obi Nwana. He said every coach has a Mount Rushmore where they put their favorite athletes on that rock. He said, Obi's on my Mount Rushmore. And you know what? It almost never happened. He almost never became a decathlete at Case Western Reserve University. Obi was a high jumper. That was his best event. Coach Rubin tells the story that another athlete on the team, Matt Komalski, came up to Coach Rubin after practice one day and said, Coach, I'd like to give the decathlon a try. And Coach Rubin said, well, Matt, I think that you're, of the physical ability that you could do all those 10 different events. I think, yeah, let's start training you for that. He goes, I got a friend that wants to do it too. And Coach Rubin said, who's your friend? And Matt says, my friend's name's Obi. And Coach said, all right, well, let's bring Obi along, see what can happen. Fast forward 4 years later to 2010, the national championships. Obi was not the favorite going into the national championships in Division III for the decathlon. Obi was a great thrower, though. The third event in the 10-event decathlon is the shot put. Obi was very good at the shot put. He would compete against Power 5 Division I schools and win the shot put. He was that good. So Coach said after the third event in the decathlon, Obi was generally in the lead because he would get a lot of points from his very successful shot put. So day 2, he needs a good discus throw, Coach said. He's a good thrower. So we're expecting a good discus throw, and he can stay up there near the lead. He said he had his worst throw ever. And he said he fell from the lead. He was down in the bottom 5. He said things didn't look good. Coach Rubin said, as a coach, I try not to let my athlete know that I don't think it's going to end well. He said, but I bet Obi could read my body language that day that I thought this was over, that his shot at the decathlon national championship was over. But guess what Obi did? He rallied. He really rallied. He set a PR in the next 3 events. He set a PR in the pole vault. Obi was 6'2", 200 pounds at the time. Not the type of body that's a good pole vaulter, but he set a PR in the pole vault that day. Next event, the javelin throw. He set a PR in the javelin throw. The final event in a 10-event decathlon is the 1,500-meter run. Coach Rubin said Obi hated to run. Absolutely hated to run. And the guy who was, but because of the 2 PRs that he had gotten in the 8th and 9th event, he was back in the lead. He was in the lead by 210 points. But the guy who was behind him was the best 1,500-meter runner in the decathlon. And he could score 200 points very easily in the decathlon. And if Obi didn't have a good run, he could score 250, 260, and Obi loses the decathlon. Obi set a PR in the decathlon by 10 seconds. He ran faster that afternoon than he'd ever run in his life and probably has ever run since. He set a 10-second PR. He scored 210 points, and he won by 10 points, if my math serves me right, for the decathlon championship. He became the 19th national champion in the history of Case Western Reserve University. And there's some coaches in the room, there's some athletes in the room, and Coach Rubin told me, he says, whenever I'm having a bad day, whenever one of my athletes are having a bad day, I think of Obi, and I think of what he did at that Division III national championship run in 2010. I present to you Obi Nwana, our last class of 22 Hall of Fame inductee tonight. You can clap for Obi. Accepting the award tonight, and I know that you're in the audience because I've been told you are, 2 current track seniors on the Spartan track team. I think they're over here to my left. Come on up. Anna Scherf and Peter Chin. Welcome, Anna and Peter. Do you guys have any Obi stories you want to tell? Would you like to talk? Well, come on up and let's get them Obi's award. I'll give it to him. Award tonight is the presentation of the University Award for Athletic Excellence. The 1967 through 1977 Case Institute of Technology, Case Western Reserve University men's cross-country teams are the recipient tonight of our presentation of the University Award for Athletic Excellence. Here to talk about that era of cross-country at Case Institute and Case Western Reserve is Doug Leary, class of 1976 from Case Western Reserve University, and a 1974 cross-country All-American. Doug, the podium is yours.
Thanks so much. It's great to be back tonight with so many of my teammates and friends and fraternity brothers. It was a great era. It's hard to believe it's been 50 years. But it was a tremendous era where we were undefeated for 11 straight years. And I'm very pleased that 5 of the 7 Hall of Fame members from that era are here with us tonight. And I do want to quickly introduce them, and I just ask that you'd stand briefly just so you can be recognized. Starting with Pierce Leary, who got it all started in 1967. Pierce came in as a freshman and was the #1 runner on the first undefeated team, and he really set the tone for the program. Greg Williams, who's one of tonight's inductees. You heard from Greg. Greg was a conference champion, one of the leaders of 4 straight undefeated teams. 2 years later, Jeff Tangen. Jeff Tangen came in, one of the greatest runners in school history. Jeff was the 2nd cross-country All-American in school history after Greg Bowser. And Jeff's school record of 4:12 in the mile run is a record that stood for 48 years until finally being bested just this year. 48 years is a long time to have a record. Lastly, Mark Koenig. Mark Koenig, an All-American in 800 meters, 4th in the country in 800 meters, school record 1:51 at the time, still the 2nd fastest time in school history, 2nd only to our national champion, Vince Van Buren. Mark was a great cross-country runner on our really, really good team in 1975, where we were ranked as high as 4th in the country mid-season when we almost beat Ohio State at the state meet. But the thing that all of us would tell you is the primary reason for our success is we had a great coach, a legendary coach, Bill Sudek. Coach Sudek coached cross-country, basketball, and track for 46 years. And he was the winningest coach in school history. And while his first love was basketball, his greatest success from a winning perspective was cross-country. Close behind was track. He had great track teams as well. And Coach was extremely proud of our winning streak. He used to tell us in the latter stages of that streak, I think when we were up around 55 or 60 straight wins, after every meet he would tell us, "Congratulations, guys, you just set a new national record." And whether that was true or not, we didn't know, but we believed him. The thing is, the coaches and the NCAA did recognize our program because they gave us the great honor of hosting the NCAA National Championship meet in both 1976 and 1977, which we held up at Highland Golf Course. And Coach gave my best friend and teammate, Greg Bowser, who was a 3-time All-American, and I the great honor of designing that course. We had just graduated. But there are really several reasons why Coach's teams were so great. First is he was an unbelievable recruiter, the best. Second is he was a great developer of talent, a great motivator. He could take an average runner and make him good, and a good runner and make him great. And lastly, Coach Sudek was probably the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. Coach Sudek loved to win, and he hated to lose. And it rubbed off on all of us. We wanted to win for him as much as we wanted to win for ourselves. And I want to close. There's a bust of Coach Sudek up at outside of Horsburgh Gym, and if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to go stop and see it. And on that bust is a saying that I'd like to close by reading. It's a quote from one of his interviews, and I think it speaks well to what Division III athletics is all about and Division III coaching is all about. I got to put the cheaters on. It's titled, "The Greatest Thrill About Coaching." Quote, "The greatest thrill is an ongoing thrill. Meeting and coaching high-class people. Watching my athletes advance to positions in industry or become doctors or lawyers. then come back to my office a few years later and say, thanks. We're here tonight to one more time say, thanks, Coach, we love you, we miss you, and we appreciate everything you did for us. And on behalf of Coach Sudak and all my fellow runners, I want to thank the university for this great honor.
Doug, if you could, and the gentlemen that you mentioned that are here, if you guys could all make your way over here, we have an award that TJ and John would like to give you, and we'd like to take a group picture of you as well. Now feel free to shout out an answer while you're organizing the group picture. How many of you still run? Only one? He's a biker now. I'm not sure that decade of dominance will ever be matched in any sport, at any school, ever again. Congratulations. As we close tonight, I'd like to do a personal thank you to Gary Pillar. Gary asked me to MC this event years ago, so he was the start for me here at Case Western Reserve University, so thank you, Gary. And thank you, John. And thank you, TJ, for keeping me around. And I'd also like, if all of you would stand up again, the inductees tonight. Hugh joining us from above. Otto, if you could stand up. Greg, if you could stand up. Drew. We've got Justine right here. Chad. And of course, Obi with us, not with us tonight, but certainly with us in his heart and his soul. And if we could give all of these honorees, Hall of Famers, one more round. As I said at the beginning, it was a beautiful day on campus, and it was a wonderful evening inside here, hearing the personal stories, the great emotion, and the dedication that has ended in a Hall of Fame induction. Congratulations, everybody. Have a safe drive home. Have a great weekend. Thank you for being here.